The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users, on demand on iTunes and on YouTube, and on my site, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you are encouraged to post your comments whether you agree with yours truly or not. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio. We're syndicated to 12 million households across the United States. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. Welcome to the show. Well, last week, the Iraqi parliament ratified the U.S.-Iraq Status of Forces Agreement, which mandates that U.S. troops withdraw by January 1st, 2012, and also the withdrawal of combat troops from Iraqi cities by June 30th, 2009. That's right. June 30th, 2009. The parliament also required a voter referendum for final approval. That must also June 30th. That's right. I'm a little confused on my reading. I know there's a difference between January and June. I apologize. The parliament also required a voter referendum for final approval that must take place by that June 30th date. If they don't approve the agreement, the Iraq and U.S. governments will be forced to renegotiate or drop the agreement completely. Many hailed the agreement as the beginning of the end to the war, but the followers of the Shiite leader al-Sadr declared 3 days of mourning in protest of the agreement. They wore black armbands. If it goes through, it sets a withdrawal timeline, which is something that the Bush administration has said it had opposed during the 7 years that the United States has been in Iraq. But it's something that President-elect Obama called for when he was campaigning for office. A joint commission of U.S. and Iraqi officials would make the decisions about U.S. operations in country. The issue of the detention of Iraqi civilians and cases where U.S. military personnel could be charged for off-base, off-duty crimes committed in Iraq would be resolved. Who would be responsible for adjudicating that? There would not be any permanent U.S. bases in Iraq. So there goes the whole notion that that's the reason the United States invaded. And it prohibits the United States from using Iraqi territory to attack other nations. One might read into that Iran. Well, what does it all mean? Does it really mean an end to the U.S. combat mission in Iraq within 6 months of the Obama administration taking office, making his most important campaign promise a fait accompli even before he is sworn in on January the 20th? Joining us today to answer these questions is Cato Institute Foreign Policy Analyst Malu Innocent. Great name, Malu. Innocent's primary research interests are the Middle East and the Persian Gulf security issues and U.S. foreign policy toward Pakistan and China. She has published articles on national security and international affairs in scholarly journals like Survival and the Chicago Policy Review. Her articles have also appeared in the San Francisco Chronicle and online at the Washington Post, the Asia Times, Huffington Post, and the Washington Times. Malu Innocent, welcome to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
Thank you so much for having me on.
The pleasure is entirely ours. So, am I reading this correctly? I gave a kind of thumbnail sketch of what the agreement, if ratified by the Iraqi people, would mean, but let's just presume that the majority of the Iraqis are in favor of this. Does this mean that combat operations end in June?
Essentially, I mean, you've gotten everything correct in the sense that the Iraqi Parliament will allow Barack Obama to adhere to his campaign promise to withdraw within 16 months. The provision that would force the United States to withdraw by the end of 2011 is only about a year and 7 months shy of Barack Obama's withdrawal date of 16 months. And given the political mandate that Barack Obama is operating with, domestically speaking, I think that many elements within the sort of left-leaning elements within his own party will be okay with that, given the fact that he, again, has a wide mandate, so he can have some wiggle room as far as how long he'll keep troops there. However, it's important to know the caveats within Barack Obama's overall strategic vision for Iraq. He said that if a genocide ensues, he'd be willing to pump the brakes on the rapidity of the withdrawal. So again, if say during the withdrawal, if there is an increase in violence, or if ethnic sectarian tensions increase, he would be willing to leave some elements of our U.S. combat forces behind for additional support. So overall, it is true that Barack Obama was aided by the Iraqi Parliament in his ability to withdraw from Iraq. It also remains to be seen whether, if there's a spiraling conflict, if he'll be able to stick true to that commitment for withdrawal.
So the old chicken and egg question comes to mind based on what you just said, Malu Innocent of the Cato Institute, and that is, did the Iraqi Parliament wait until the U.S. election to mirror the promises of Barack Obama before passing this legislation in order to ensure that it would be successful?
Honestly, it appears so. I mean, and this was actually during the primary season when Barack Obama went abroad to Germany and to the Middle East. And I remember there was a huge snafu over what Maliki said about wanting the U.S. forces to withdraw. And then many of the U.S. and European media outlets said, oh, well, that aids Barack Obama's foreign policy vision for Iraq. And then immediately al-Maliki's handlers tried to retract the statement. But it was already said and done, in the sense that it appeared that the Iraqi Parliament was indeed waiting to see what was happening domestically within the United States. And that's not too far-fetched, especially since their sovereignty right now relies on U.S. special forces within their country. They want to see what the next administration will be. Will it be more hawkish like John McCain's administration would have been? Was it going to be one that wanted to withdraw and give more sovereignty to Iraq like Barack Obama? So it isn't too far-fetched to see why the Parliament would want to wait and see what happens domestically within the United States, because that has a direct impact on their own country.